Okay, everybody. Thank you for joining our second Product Data Mastery webinar. Today we have an exciting topic we're going to talk about. It's how AI is actually automating product data programs. There's a lot of hype out there. AI is the big thing. You go to any conference today, and that's all that anybody wants to talk about. We're going to talk about some of the tactical implementations for your product data practice today. So with me, today I have two very special guests. I have Madhu Konety, who is a tech entrepreneur and investor that's focused on enterprise software and AI. As the founder of IceCream Labs, he's helped customers like Walmart, Home Depot, Pepsi, Nestle, and P&G to use their AI in product data and accelerating e-commerce growth. And Madhu has a master's from Stanford and from Virginia Tech. And with him, we also have Krish Seshadri, who is also a tech executive with deep product marketing and operating experience at large companies like Meta, Zynga, and Time Warner, and startups such as Talisma. He has built and led global businesses spanning content, MarTech, social gaming, and fintech. And he also graduated from Stanford University. So thank you both for being here with me today.
Thanks, Dan. Nice to be here.
And so I want to start by talking about the state of AI in product data in general. And there's a lot going on in AI right now. Like I was at a conference last week where that's all anybody really wanted to talk about. Even the sessions that were supposed to be about search were about how AI is affecting search and those kinds of things. So from an AI perspective, where are we really in the hype curve? What are the promises that can be fulfilled in general at this time?
I think, most people consider AI to be the magic bullet that can solve everything. Unfortunately, there's a lot more complexity to it. Yes, I think we've made leaps and bounds in terms of impact with generative AI. But even if we use ChatGPT today to get very specific outputs, it's still very complex. So really, bottom line is, I think we've had like really rapid growth and rapid innovation with AI over the last year, and I think we're going to see a lot more happen. I think the ability to leverage AI for specific use cases is getting better and better. And what we're really excited is, I think with the generative AI LLMs and the diffusion models for images, I think we're going to be able to leverage these models and fine tune them and apply them to specific use cases like product data. And even within product data, I think there are lots more nuances. Like categorization is a very specific use case. Extracting of attributes is a specific use case. Converting of attribute units and normalizing attributes is another use case. So all of these use cases can be solved. Yes, I think they're getting very accessible. They just need to be fine-tuned and adapted to the use cases and the customer.
Perfect. I'm just going to take a step back. I apologize. I should have shown this slide first. Everybody, thank you for joining us. We are recording, so you will be able to get a copy of this recording to be able to share with people that aren't here today. We have an action-packed session today, so we don't have enough time for Q&A. I would ask that if you have questions, please put them into the Q&A box. We will answer them by email later on to the group. We know we're going to run full to time today, so we just want to make sure that we're capturing your questions, but we're not going to be able to get them to them today. So again, it's really important what you're talking about, Madhu, about how AI, there's such hype in it and what it can do. You mentioned a couple of very specific things. Auto classification has been a thing that people have wanted to do for years. And semantic parsing got us close to there. Natural language processing got us close to there. But really, AI is changing the ability to be able to do things like that. But everybody wants to talk about two things. They want to talk about images and they want to talk about product descriptions. Okay. Are we at the point where we're looking at a full automation for descriptions and for images, or is there always still going to be human intervention in that with where we are from an AI perspective today?
Good question, Dan. I think there are certain tasks and activities that I think can be fully automated, and you'll see some demos of it today. For example, creating a product image on a simple white background that is like the core of any e-commerce platform. I think that can be automated, and then when you take it and say, I want to extend this to create descriptions or more nuanced product information. I think some level of human intervention is required unless you fine tune these models to your specific use case.
And when
I
we
hope
talk
that makes
about
sense.
it does make sense. And when we talk about fine-tuning models, everybody automatically thinks ChatGPT. Okay, you're just pushing the data up there. And it's actually more important to be able to understand some of the concepts that are evolving inside of AI, like retrieval augmented generation and those sorts of things. Could you just give us a quick explanation of retrieval augmented generation for those people that might not understand how that ties into something like a ChatGPT?
Sure. So RAG, or retrieval augmented generation, is you basically take the corpus of data. This data could be documents, it could be application data, and you store it in a what is called a vector format. And the vector format is basically a way for the models to do what is called a semantic search. So basically, what you do with RAG is you create a corpus of data that you want to that is stored in a vector format. You send in a natural language query like you would with ChatGPT, and then the GPT would then actually fetch the document from that vector database and respond to you back with whatever information you requested. So this is very useful. For example, I think one good use case you and I discussed, Dan, was to find all the parts associated with a particular product, right? And this data can be multiple documents that's stored in a vector database. And I can ask GPT or any of my LLM models and say, hey, can I get, for this lawnmower, can you give me all the parts associated? And this would actually go look at the vector database, fetch all the data, map it out, and then return it back to us.
Right. And that's important because everybody hears what hallucinations are in AI. And that's one of the ways to at least restrict and reduce the risk of hallucinations. Is it possible to actually eliminate hallucinations when you're talking about product data by using retrieval augmented generation?
A good point. I think using RAG, you can basically restrict the the model to look at facts or data from your data set. So that's one good way to kind of draw boundaries around it. You cannot uh, honestly, you cannot completely eliminate hallucination, but you can reduce hallucination to a great extent. And I think there are new mechanisms coming in that you use RAG and then you use other, uh, let's call them filters for now, to reduce the hallucination to get to the point where you can you get what you want to get.
But part of that is what we talked about originally, that it's not replacing human beings entirely. Okay, as long as there's the potential for hallucinations, there's the potential for ChatGTP to give a response that is somehow negative to brand or to market or to wherever you're going to be displaying that data. You still have to have the people controls in place to be able to filter those out, correct?
Exactly. And I think most people, I think we got to think about AI and LLMs and generative models as really tools. On top of these tools, you still really need processes and people. I don't think they will automate a lot of things. It'll help make our lives a lot easier, and we will get more effective and more productive. But they're really tools that have processes and people on top, right? So workflow is not going to go away because of AI. We're still going to go have workflow. Workflow will touch multiple people and multiple processes, and that will still continue to happen.
Okay. And so the other piece of this is understanding there's implementing AI and having business value for that versus implementing AI because you want to catch up with somebody else that says that they've implemented AI. And this is important to be able to understand the value statement in this. Can you give a little color to what the actual business value can be for an implementation of, let's say, an auto classification tool or something that's going to ingest data from PDFs and those sorts of things? What's the true value of statement of that as opposed to just implementing AI for the sake of implementing AI?
Yeah. I mean, AI is the new, nice, shiny little object. So I think obviously looking at ROI is really important before you get started on the project. And I can talk about what we've seen impact. And one of the things that we've taken with customers always is we've always done prototypes of pilots to first identify if the problem is solvable, and actually we can measure the ROI from solving this problem. Once you do the pilot or the POC, then you can actually go ahead and implement the entire uh, project. I give you good examples, Dan. One is classification. We've worked with a customer where we've classified products across about 6,000 categories. I don't know, maybe in the tens of hundreds of millions of products. Uh, it, it, I mean, what was going to take maybe multiple years to actually achieve got done in few months. And the whole value add for an ROI for this customer was they were able to then, and once they got the product classification sorted, then they could actually enhance the product data. That improved customer experience. That actually had direct impact, measurable impact on e-commerce revenue.
And that's important because some of what you said is the data that supports this is just as valuable as the AI tool itself. Because if you're going to use retrieval augmented generation, if you're going to have a good taxonomy to be able to classify against for auto classification, if you're going to be syndicating to multiple different channels, it's great to be able to have AI to be able to do that, but being able to have the clean data to be able to support those tools, to be able to make sure that the data conforms to what the channel requests. The images meet what they expect from a channel perspective. The classifications, if you have to do multiple classifications, you're not sacrificing product data for ease of classification. Those are important things because we see with the level of data that's required today, a lot of people are spending a lot of time just trying to get through the classification part of this and dumbing down their classifications to make it easier. So when we're talking about a data program for somebody that is in the product data space, is there a good enough on data, or is it always going to be the cleaner the data, there's always going to be a better approach to a better response from AI based off of cleaner data?
I think we're getting to the point. I mean, uh, the previous generation of AI models, the quality of data uh, really determine the output of the models. I think with the new era of models that we are seeing now with the LLMs, I think that the quality of data has become less. It's important, but it's not as influential as some of the other factors. So you can actually work with I'm not saying crappy, noisy data, but some semi good data, and still achieve the results that you want to achieve with the new age of LLMs.
That's interesting because we talk about data quality in governance and those sorts of things. And really, the last mile in collecting product data is always the most expensive. And understanding where that breakpoint is in value to cost is very difficult. If AI can take some of those pieces and remove them from the equation, they turn it from, let's just come up with an arbitrary number, 80% of your data is clean, and it can fix the other 20%, that's a huge cost in that last 20%. So that's pretty important to be able to understand AI is going to help fix some of those issues.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
And so now what we're going to do is Madhu and Krish have some tools that they're going to show you to actually show how AI can work in product data. So they've picked a couple of examples. I'm going to let you, Madhu, lead this. But understand, these are real live examples in real time. These are not faked examples.
Thanks, Dan. I'm going to just go to sharing my screen.
And all of us that have sat on conference calls that have to realize that every single conferencing system has a different way of doing this. Madhu's working through it now.
I'm going to walk you guys through two demos. The first one is three demos, actually. Sorry. The first one is Tiger. And Tiger is basically a fine-tuned LLM that helps you. It's really trained specifically for product data.
So
It's
real quick, Madhu, we're seeing the presenter notes. We're not seeing your slide. There we go. Sorry to interrupt.
okay. We're just going to go with this. So interest of time. So, and what Tiger does allows you to do is really input unstructured, noisy uh, product documents, images, text, and it helps you convert that into structured product information. One good use case of Tiger is um, loading existing product information. You may have lots of uh, product owners manuals, product part manuals, product uh, or handbooks, and product images, and you can take all of this and structure and basically load it into Tiger, and Tiger will then convert that into structured JSON or structured XML or structured uh, information that can be then uploaded into the PIM. And you guys can see my screen now.
Yes.
This is Tiger. So what I'm going to do is I have a bunch of different product categories defined here, and these product categories are, think about them as fine-tuned. Uh, the model is fine-tuned to actually extract various attributes for these categories, and from here I'm going to just um, upload a document, and this is a technical data sheet for a latex sealant, and it has multiple pages to it. And what we're doing is we're basically uploading this document into Tiger, and what it does is it goes ahead and extracts all the relevant information from that document. It takes about 10 to 20 seconds, and it converts all that information back into structured information. I don't have, I'm sorry, I selected the wrong product category. I maybe should have selected the other category, but and I can select.
But an important element of this is that you can actually do this at scale by using the APIs that are in the background. The demonstration is just to show a front end to show you how this works, but it can be done in a more scalable format by running the files through classifications using the API, correct?
Exactly. So this is just a simple example. We're taking a 5-page document, but you can actually use the APIs. You can run a million products if required through the APIs, and then that information can directly be fed back into an MDM system, a PIM system, or any other data store for the product information. The other good use case for this is you can actually load all of this information into what we call a vector DB, and then you can have an RAG system running on top of it. So you can actually build a more robust customer support, sales support engine on top of your product information.
And the important part about this is the fact that you're inputting from a document. A lot of what has to happen inside of product data today is somebody is copying and pasting out of a spreadsheet or out of a PDF, out of a sales brochure or a tech brochure. And that is both a point of failure and it's slow. So the idea on this is the specifications that make up a fair amount of the data that you have to put into a PIM system, you can automate that so that instead of having to do it line by line, row by row, column by column, with people cutting and pasting and making interpretations, the system is trained on the best way to be able to match the data types with the actual data that's coming from the spec sheet. So there's a vast increase in speed. Now, again, it probably still should go through an approval process just to be able to make sure that it didn't find something that's incorrect. But the at scale, if you were to take 1,000 documents on 1,000 SKUs and do this, imagine the time savings in not having to tell it, okay, I'm going to copy this into this row. I'm going to copy this into this row over and over and over again. Now all you have to do is look at it, say, yeah, the data looks right, and approve it to the next step of the process.
Exactly.
And that's where the value add comes in tools like this.
I'm going to go next to the next demo, which is Commerce Flow. Commerce Flow is basically it has three parts. Again, all using same model, but it allows you to extract product information from images primarily. And images can have text, can be may not contain any text. It extracts all the information and organizes and classifies that information. Excuse me. The second thing it can do is also help you identify issues with images. So, for example, if there are competitor logos or content that you don't want to be seeing in the images, these are the two big parts of Commerce Flow, and I'm going to go show you how this works. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to start with is I'm going to basically upload a bunch of images. And in here, I'm just picking a Hershey's bar. So there are four images for the Hershey's bar. And then I'm going to just click on submit. And what Commerce Flow does is in the background, it actually looks at each image. It identifies the different elements of the image and extracts all the text, classifies the text, and basically organizes that as and this is what it's done. So it's taken these four images and then it pulls out the category, the brand, the variant, all the dietary information, pulls out all the nutrition facts, and any manufacturer information that is available. And so basically what you're doing is what we're doing here is converting data, unstructured data that is in images and converting that into structured. Again, this is something that can go through a human review. So a human being can come in, get involved in the process, can edit this information, and that gets actually updated in the database and also goes back to the models as input. So,
and again, from a distribution, from a food service distribution perspective, or from a distributor that is taking in large amounts of data and having to convert it into the format that they need, this can eliminate a lot of that by just going to the image that they're providing itself and pulling that data out automatically. So it's giving that automation piece that we're talking again, not full automation end to end where we're talking about, no humans involved. There still has to be the approval. But now all of a sudden, if you have large volumes of data that have to conform to the way that your PIM tool expects them to come in, this eliminates an awful lot of that manual work and gets you directly to the approval process, correct?
Exactly, exactly. And I mean, also again, data can be fed back into the PIM. Data can be mapped to specific attributes that are specific to the client or the customer. So lots of flexibility in doing that.
But the idea here is, again, the same way that we took in a JPEG, PDF image and pulled the data out of it automatically. Now we're augmenting to that data with the images that come along with it. And that is actual business value as opposed to just AI for the sake of AI, because now the people that are responsible for doing all of that collection work, they have more time to do things like optimizing. And that's one of the big pushes
Yeah,
right now is everybody can launch a project, and most companies are pretty good at avoiding last mile escalations. But how many have the time to actually go and look and say, this product title on Amazon is not doing what we want it to do. We're competitive to something else. We need to edit this to be able to be a little bit closer. You can spend more time on that optimization. And again, it's repeating, as you said earlier, Madhu, the ability to add value in a way that increases e-commerce revenue.
exactly. And speed to kind of get on the digital shelf, right, really quickly.
Yes. And for distribution, that's big because as SEO has become more of a competitive element for distributors, that they're trying to build new contacts to be able to build brand stickiness. Getting to market first gets you first in the SEO for new products. For an MRO company or an industrial distributor, anybody in HVAC, that's paramount to being able to win in their region more market share.
Got it. I'm going to now show you another side of the same thing. I showed you how you could extract data from CPG products. I'm going to now use a different category. This is furniture. So here I'm uploading an image of a couch, I hope. And what the AI model is trained to do is actually identify the different visual visually identify the different attributes of this product. So it identifies the body material, body style, leg alignment, various. And so this is actually very interesting, a good application of AI, because here what we actually have done is we've taken um, visual attributes which are really identified by experts, and taken the data, trained it into a model, and automated that process. So again, using APIs, you can classify products, you can extract all the attributes, and make them digital ready pretty rapidly. And the human being can then actually just verify and get involved in the process as a more on the quality side, rather than on copy pasting and creating all the attributes themselves.
And when you first showed me this example, I love this example because now we're not just talking about there's words in an image that we're extracting. Now we're talking about extracting data from the image itself, rendering the image in a way that we can determine color, we can determine shape, we can determine size, all of those sorts of things in an automated way. It takes that processing one step further rather than just, the nutrition facts labels that are all labeled out in a very attribute name value pair type of way. This is extracting raw data from an image of the raw product itself.
Exactly. And this is really, one of the things, I'm creatively challenged. I don't know what mid-century is or coastal is. But we've actually, this model is pretty accurate, and over 90% of the time it's able to classify the style of the furniture, and which is very powerful, right? I mean, we train something and it can automatically keep doing the same thing again and again.
That training is the important part, though, because looking at this sofa, that's going to be different than looking at a broom or a candy bar or something else. The localized training for it to be able to understand a furniture model is vital to being able to do things like this, correct?
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, so I know you
Um,
had a couple of other things you wanted to show.
yeah, I have. Well, I mean, this is a trivial one. I mean, but it talks about the same concept of training, and how to kind of how to clean up catalogs and product images and get them digital ready. So one of the big problems a customer of ours has had in the past is having not just product information in the images, but other not unnecessary information in the images. Um, and that could be competitor logos or unnecessary logos, or it could be NSFW content. And so we have trained models to, for example, detect logos, but can do detect NSFW content. It can detect flags. It can detect multiple other attributes. And not only can it detect, it will actually identify where that is, and we can then go and edit it and clean it up.
Right. And knowing that that image is showing up in the first thing that a customer sees, having the cleanest image is important. It's also when you look at multiple channels, last thing Walmart is going to want is an image with an Amazon logo in it. Okay,
Exactly.
and that's going to cause you problems with your relationship with your downstream vendors. So being able to tell these logo detections and these sorts of things, avoid the problem before they become a problem. They alert you to changes that need to be made proactively rather than reactively, because we're coming up on Black Friday. Nobody wants that call from the CMO at 6 o'clock on Friday morning saying, why does this image look like this on this product that we have in our circular?
Exactly. So that this is my part of the demo. I'm now going to hand it over to Krish, and Krish is going to talk about how we have the other side of AI, where you what I've showed you so far is less generative, and what Krish is going to show you is really generative AI, where we're creating content and creating product content, product images. So Krish, all yours.
Great. How much time do we have? The 20, 25 minutes, right?
We have 20 minutes. Yes.
Okay, so maybe I'll just go through like 2 or 3 slides that gives you an overview of the product and then do a quick 15-minute demo, right?
Okay.
So, can you all see this?
It has not shown up on our screens yet. Oh, now we're going. There we got it.
So yeah, as Madhu said, Breeze is basically solving problems in the creative stack. So just stepping a step back, there's just a huge amount of content that's exploding. Even before generative AI, companies were just creating a lot of content, and with Gen AI, this is just gone up by about 100x right now. And one of the problems is on the creation side. Most of the AI tools that you see out there are very generic tools, and what we are building is something that's more specialized for product images that preserves the product and preserves the brand. Secondly, we are customizing it for channels like Amazon and Walmart, which have very, very deep specifications on what the product should look like and what kind of metadata we are tracking, etc. So I'll show you some of that. And Madhu alluded to safe content, because a lot of this stuff that's Gen AI is producing may not be authentic. It may not be original. So we're building stuff out which essentially ensures that there's safe content with AI governance models. So just the AI creation side itself has multiple issues, and we are solving those problems. But when you come to the operations piece, typically content is managed by multiple, stakeholders. It's not just one team, but multiple internal and external teams, right? So there's a lot of voluminous content that's being shared. How do you search for this content? And most of the tools out there, aren't necessarily meant for tracking and managing visual assets. They're good for documents, but a lot of visual assets have a lot of metadata around them. So we are helping, ensure that the creative operations management due to AI is very, very efficient.
And real quick, Krish, sorry,
Yeah.
just real quick. One of the most important things that's noted here on the problem side is that cryptic file names. Having worked in the vendor space before, you would not believe how poorly digital assets are named, so that there's no metadata there whatsoever. So just to call out that this problem statement goes beyond just being able to
That's right.
feed AI. It is a problem throughout all of the damn product data segment.
That's right. That's right. And the third piece is, once we have that data, it's all about, today, a lot of marketing campaigns that go out, they don't have data at the content level. So we are doing real-time, AI tagging of our content. So the content can be searched and you'll know exactly what aspects of that content is driving reach or any of those metrics that, you want to track, right? So there's a lot of data that's being produced, and we feel that multi-format content creation is, growing at warp speed right now. And personalized content is also at industrial scale. So fundamentally, there's a data and asset explosion. And our thesis is organizations will have to retool their, data and tech stack. So it's not just an AI issue, but it's a, workflow issue. It's having the right set of tools that can manage this voluminous data coming out of product data sets or image data sets. I'll stop there and maybe quickly get into a short demo. Great. Is this visible?
Yes, it is.
So, on the creation side, we looked at different use cases. So as you can see, a lot of content that's being pushed out is through multiple channels. Each channel has its own specification. And I think the first thing that I said was a lot of the AI tools out there are generic, so they don't really maintain the product brand, and they don't preserve the details of the product. And I'll give you a quick example. I mean, if you are Pepsi or Coke and you want to put your product, let's say you're doing an Instagram post and you want it on a kitchen counter. So you type in Pepsi can on a kitchen countertop, and let's see what we get, right? Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty decent image of something that looks like a Pepsi can, but it's not really a Pepsi can. It looks like it, right? So it's not maintaining the authenticity of your product or your product brand, because this is really not what any product company would kind of approve. So that's where we came in and we said, okay, we're going to fine tune the models where you can actually go and upload your actual product, and the product details needs to be maintained. So let's try and do an Instagram post. I'll upload something from a content library. So we've built a very rich content library out here. So let's say this is a orange juice, branded orange juice product called Fresho. And you can move the product around, you can place it anywhere on this canvas, which is going to generate your image. And if you really know how to do prompting, you can type in, I want this on a kitchen counter, etc. But we've also built in instant themes where a lot of this is actually taken care of. And So let's say I have an instant theme called kitchen counter. So one sec. So there you go. So you can see that, the product details are preserved, the product isn't altered, while when you saw the Pepsi use case, the product was altered, right? So this is a very, very big issue that most companies have, and that's why you're seeing a lot of fine-tuning of these models taking place. The second example that I'll give you is maybe, let's do a Walmart product listing, or maybe we'll put out an image for Walmart. As you can see, the image is already worked according to the specifications of Walmart, because Walmart specs say that, the main hero image, the primary image, has to be on a white background, and it says that it needs to cover about 85% of the canvas. So those specifications have already been taken care of. So when we go and generate something like that, it's done it literally, instead of resizing it and taking care of all those issues. Our instant templates take care of many of those specifications. Likewise, we can also create, resize those images for different use cases. For example, when we did the Instagram one, you see that there is an ability to actually resize this for maybe, a Facebook or a LinkedIn ad or something which is of a different dimension. So if you want to resize this into a landscape format, it's going to maintain the product details. So the product doesn't get stretched out, but the AI models will outpaint what's on the left and right, so that you can instantly push this out into any social channel that has, those specifications. So there you go. So this resizing typically would, take a lot of time with a team of 3 or 4 people, and you've been able to kind of do this within a few seconds. The interesting thing is every single image out here is being saved. And if we go back to our image library, I'd like to show you the data that's being, tracked. So if I go into the image that we just created, you can actually see that the AI, all this is being tracked, which is, the date it was created, who created it, what are the image dimensions, and then you've got all the AI keywords that are attached to this, because searching for content and the data around the content becomes such a huge problem. If you're a VP of marketing and you have a team that's looking for an image that you created maybe 6 months back or even 2 years back, you don't know the name of the image because you don't know the file names, because they're all very cryptic. But you may remember that, hey, it had red shoes in it, or there was someone with a red dress. So we are trapping all these keywords over here and then enabling you to do even a search. For example, let's say this image has brown in it, there's orange, there's a bottle, it's on a kitchen counter, it's gray, there's a dishwasher, etc. And let's say I want to add a tag of my own, which is, I don't know, maybe, let's say it was part of the November promo, right? I'm going to add that tag. Now, we go back to our images, and if I want to search for, any, if I want to search for something which was related to this thing, there you go. So you got the same image out there based on what we tracked. If I want to see images that had a motorbike in it because we did a great campaign and I want to see all those images, I can pull that out. So there's a lot of metadata that's being tracked around here because people search for things visually. They don't search for things by, remembering cryptic file names. So we are going to add a lot more filters around this based on other metadata, like when was it created, when was it modified, who created it, do any of these images have annotations and comments around it, and even prompts. Can I look for keywords within the prompts that generated this AI? So that's fundamentally solving a lot of the automation problem around creative asset management, which ad agencies and marketing teams even today, they do a lot of this manually. There are dams out there, but they're still clunky. It's still on-prem. They're not that fast to move in the AI world. So we're bringing all these issues together for creative teams to create content, to manage the content effectively, and use the product data or the metadata around the content so that you can do great analytics and push it out to the right people.
So, Krish, besides the fact that every single person that's in the DAM space, the photography teams, has just unfriended me on LinkedIn, can you explain? There's a business value to this, that it's not removing those people from the work, it's changing their role. And how does their role change for a creative person that's in the photography department based off of what AI is capable of doing?
Sure. So I think there are two or three things. One is on the creation side. Most of them go through a process where you're actually doing mood boards first before the final selection of the creative. So what AI would help you do is try to get you maybe 80% of the way in 5% of the time. But the last 20%, you'll still need your designers to do some final retouching and approval and stuff like that. So what it helps them is it gives them a lot more creative content at the beginning, because I can produce about 500 or 600 a day. But they still need to go through the process of saying, okay, I like this or I don't like this. And then they might do a little retouching of it, move their logo, change a few things. So, we work very closely with digital agencies and a few clients, and they don't see this as a threat. They actually see this as a tool that's empowering them to do their job much faster. In fact, a lot of the really boring stuff that happens just during the creation side, this can just 10x scale your initial content production. But you'll always have that human element that helps them do the job faster. That's on the creation side. On the collaboration side, it's immensely useful today because I still see agencies and marketing people sending content like this, through email, getting feedback on WhatsApp. Even today this happens, right? Even with the best of dams out there, people are still doing a lot of the collaboration outside, and that's not a very efficient process. So they just think that this is going to be more useful for them and not really a threat as such.
Interesting. And then how much training does a team have to do to be able to get this right? Okay, so we talked about from a product attribute perspective, there's training to be able to get it to work properly within that space. How much effort is required to actually train a model to be able to do what you've done today?
So I'll let Madhu answer that in detail, but what we are doing, as you can see, is going, product category by category, right? Because each product needs to be trained. I'll give you a very simple example, Mike, which is if you take some of this stuff and use it on generic AI, invariably, it's not going to sit on the kitchen counter. It might be floating on top, right? And we see that very often. Or it's maybe something like this, or it's cut off. So we are going literally, product by product, SKU by SKU, and ensuring that each of those models work. Madhu, maybe you can elaborate on the training of those models.
So Dan, are you talking from a perspective of recreating this platform, or from perspective of customers using this?
Customers using this. Let's say that we have a distributor that's in the HVAC space. Okay, and they want to be able to put an air conditioner on the side of beside a building in an image without actually having to go and shoot the image and edit it and those sorts of things. How much training is involved in doing something like that?
Yeah. So I mean, our approach with this is we will train this for the customer. So as Krish mentioned, we're training category by category, and so we would add the concept. We would train the model on the concept of building and HVAC, and then make that available to the customer. I would say maybe a week or two.
Right. So the amount of time that you put up front into those activities is obviously going to pay dividends at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
So we have 9 minutes left, and I want to get to the tactical pieces that people can do to be able to implement things today. Okay, what are the considerations that they need to be able to do it? Because again, everybody's saying that AI can do everything, but we know there's realistic bounds. So from a value statement perspective, from an ROI perspective, what are the things that people can be doing today or tomorrow? What should they be looking at spinning up to be able to get AI integrated into their data program, product data programs?
Yeah, I think because the topic of the webinar is product data, Dan, I think the primary thing that is essential to driving any AI program is product data. So if you want to go build a better customer service or a customer support that is driven by the product data, you need good product data. So I would say I think the first step into any AI program, especially for a product-related company, is to start with getting and organizing the product data. It could be making sure that the data is all incorporated into a PIM. It is all structured into an RAG vector database or an RAG system. But these are really the essential components to start with. And I think once that is there, that is done, identifying what are again, coming back to ROI, what is the impact from deploying or employing AI into this? Is it productivity? Is it enhanced revenue? Is it other customer satisfaction? Really identifying what is the impact and what is the ROI, and then implementing programs for those.
And that's what we talk about with our customers is it shouldn't be AI driving the use case. It should be the use case driving AI. And if you don't have a problem collecting data today, okay, it's not costing you a lot, you're getting good quality data, then maybe that's not the place to start. Maybe it's an automation for the future. But everybody has a problem in their product data space. In our previous webinar, we talked about syndication being a huge problem. That was a great way, Chris showing this is the Amazon layout versus this is the Walmart layout. That happens times 1,000 for a lot of these customers, especially in the CPG space. What would you say would be the one thing you would tell customers not to do in the AI space and product data?
I think, I mean, honestly, for the last 7 years, we've been talking to so many companies, and we've had so many people get excited about AI for the sake of AI. And I think so please temper your expectations. Be realistic about what the end goal is and what is the business objective and how do you measure success. I think the exuberance is going to peter out, and then people are going to need to justify the value of the AI projects. So please identify what is the actual business problem you're solving, how do you measure the impact of that business problem. And the one thing not to do is just deploy AI for the sake of AI.
That's a perfect ending to this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly give you guys some contact information. If you want to get a hold of EIS or Madhu, our contact information is on screen. I'd like to thank both Madhu and Krish. They did a great job. I wanted to get down to that tactical level, and they showed you in real time some of the things that you can do. If you want to find out what your data assessment is, if you want to find out if your taxonomy is ready for this, if you want to find out if your data is ready for this, please feel free to contact EIS, contact myself. If you have questions, please send them in to us. We'll answer those questions in a group format so that everybody gets the answer. I know we did have some questions in there, but I really like to thank Madhu and Krish for their viewpoints, for their willingness to be able to show us this, because I've been in product data for, I'm bordering on way too many years. This is the first time that I've been excited about the concept of automation. Automation has always scared me from a product data space. We're looking at enablement instead of automation. And I really thank you guys for your opinions on this. I thank you for going through the demos. It was really helpful. So please, if you have questions or if you want to reach out to find out more, the contact information is on screen. We will be making this webinar available for you to be able to download to show other people. And our next webinar will be coming up in mid-December. If you have ideas for future webinars, please also send them to me. If you have any feedback, please send it to me. But again, really thank you guys. Really thank everybody that joined today. We'll give you a couple minutes back before your next meeting, because I know people are already jumping to the next meeting, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, Dan.
Great. Thanks, Dan.